Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments, and I am bringing you a project recipe today for the new Happy Hauntings collection. And this is a collection that just released in September of this year, and it features this really cool spiderweb punch, decorative punch, that is also a frame punch. And so we're going to use this quite a bit in this project recipe, as you can see from the pattern that you can see right here. And we're also going to use some shimmer paper. The orange solid piece here is shimmer paper. And then I've got two papers selected as our base that come from this collection. And then this paper is meant to accent the collection. This paper right here is a piece of vellum. And if you got the secret box where we were given Sparkle and Shine, and honestly I don't remember exactly when this was, but it was earlier this year, you will have a pack of 5 sheets of vellum in that from that secret box, or yeah, from the secret box. And this piece right here, this purple swirly marbly piece, is this piece of vellum, and I'm going to use that today to make our spider webs with. It is a very cool effect, and I'm excited to share it with you. So let's get started. I'm going to move my base pages out of the way. They are these purple and black striped pages with this kind of mottled paper on the back. These are from the Happy Hauntings shades, the Shades of Happy Hauntings pack. And so if you don't have them in your regular Happy Hauntings collection of designer papers, that you'll find them in the Shades of Happy Hauntings pack. And I'm going to grab my trimmer because that's what we're going to start with today. And we're going to just trim up a couple things. So I'll leave that so you can see it right there. And let's move our adhesive a little out of the way. And move these papers a little bit out of the way so we can get down to business, right? All right, so I'm using this orange paper that has spider webs and a witch hat and spiders and cats and things like that on it. On the back side is this kind of purple, this grayish purple that is a part of this collection with the black stars, just so you know exactly which piece I am using. Because the orange side is directional, I'm going to be careful about the way that I turn my paper, and I want it to be horizontal, so the top of the witch hat is here and the base of the witch hat is here. And I'm going to cut 2 pieces that are 1.5 inches long, or wide, sorry, 1.5 inches wide. These are going to be the strips that go across the top of our design. Oh, I just realized that I'm picking the paper that they used in the sample. I didn't realize that I did that, but that's cool. All right, so then the rest of what we cut out of this paper is going to be used for mats on the page, and we're actually going to be using the purple side for those mats. Not that it really matters, but it just so that you know, it is not directional, so you don't have to be really careful or concerned about the way that the rest of the cuts are made. But I'm going to cut a section that is 4 inches. And then we're going to make 2 4-inch squares and one that's 4 by 3 with this. I hope that you can see all of this really nice and bright. My husband surprised me with an early Christmas present, and I have a brand new camera and brand new lighting, and I'm super excited about it. And so if you like the new lighting and the new setup, would you send me a comment in the comments box and just let me know? I know that it will make him feel good if he knows that everybody really likes what he's put together and worked so hard on. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do this last column here, and this is going to be another 4-inch strip. This last inch right here we're going to discard. We don't need that, so I'm going to set that aside. And then I need 2 5.5-inch wide mats. So we're going to do one, and here's the second one. There we go. All right. So those pieces are good to go. And now I'm going to grab my orange shimmer, as it says on our instructions. The orange shimmer is also going to be cut into some mats, and then we're going to use our custom cutting circles and cut two equal circles. And we're also going to do some punching, so just bear with me a second. So we're going to move our arm out because we need a 6.5 by 4.5 mat. So we're going to cut it at 6.5 wide. Here's 6.5. All right. Now we're going to turn this, and we're going to cut at 4.5. We're going to cut 2 of them at 4.5 to make mats. And you might notice, if you've used your trimmer a lot, that you have a bold black line along the trimmer, and it actually makes that angle cut right there, because this is a very popular mat size. And so just to make it a little easier on our eyes, CM went ahead and made that nice and bold so it's easy to see, quick to do. All right, and then this last piece I am not going to cut in half just yet, but we will eventually cut it in half. First we're going to punch it, and but before we even do that, we're going to trim it. So we need this to be 6 inches long, so we're trimming a 1/2 inch off of the edge right here, discarding that, and then we're going to punch this piece. So I'm going to set that up here in the front so that I can punch that in just a minute. All right, now this piece of orange, keep handy. We're going to use that to cut some circles. So I'm just going to sort of tuck it underneath here so I don't lose track of it and it doesn't get bent. All right, now this piece right here, we are going to punch and we are going to cut. The first thing that I'm going to recommend that you do, and on the instructions here it does say punch the border and then cut, but I'm going to recommend that you do something slightly different. So we want to cut 2 6x6 squares. So we're going to cut those first. I'm going to cut this in half, so we're going to put the edge of it at 6 over here. Okay, and then we're going to, I'm going to set this aside just for a second. We're going to cut this in half again horizontally, so we have 2 6x6 squares. These are going to get punched in our spider web punch, so I'm going to set those up there. And then what we need is a 1/2 inch strip. 1/2 inch strip. And this is going to be made into some journal prompts, some journal lines to be drawn on or written on. And so I'm just going to set that over here. Then I need to trim off another 1/2 inch. You'll notice you have another 1/2 inch that's grayed out over here on the side. That is this 1/2 inch. That's going to leave us with 5 inches of paper. And this we are going to punch down both sides and then cut in half. So set your trimmer aside for just a second. I'm going to set mine up here. And we're going to use our punch. So let me move these. Set them up there so we have a little bit more clarity in what we're doing. So we're going to punch, and we're going to punch both sides of this long piece to make 2 long borders. This is a frame punch, but we are not using it oh my goodness, sorry. We're not using it as a frame punch to punch these borders. So you use the mark on the front of the punch to line up your edge of your paper, and then push the back of the paper towards the bumper in the back, and then punch, slide across, and then line up your design. And with vellum, it's really easy because you can see through the vellum to make sure your design is right where it should be. Line up the web part of the spider web and you'll be just fine. The center line right here is not going to line up properly, but that is okay. Just line up the web part, cover the blue with the web part that you have punched, and you will be just fine. All right, now we're going to turn it around and we're going to do the same thing going down the other side. Couple more and we will be golden. All right, there we go. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to cut this paper in half down the center so that we have two equal borders. So grab your trimmer and we're going to cut this at 2. So if you measure from the tip of the spider web to the tip of the spider web, you'll see that you are actually 1/16 of an inch shy of 5 inches. But so when you go to find the center here, you're going to place this at roughly 1/16 of an inch shy of 2.5 inches. And then you should have equal, so it's a little bit more than 1/16 when you're measuring, and then when you cut at just shy of 2.5 inches, you are going to be even. See how that's roughly even. I think I am off just a tiny little bit, but that's not very much in the grand scheme of things. So that's good to go. Grab these 2 orange strips. We do need to trim those. You'll see on the instructions it says that you need 2 strips that are 1.5 by 4 inches and 2 strips that are 1.5 by 8. So we're going to stack these 2, run them through and cut them at 4 inches. All right, so there's that. Now we're going to grab our orange shimmer piece that's down here. Well, we've got our trimmer out because we are going to need it one more time. So just set it slightly aside, but don't set it too far. We're going to take our orange shimmer piece and we're going to use the frame punch line that's on the side. So you have a line down here on both sides. Can you see it? And so depending on which direction you cut or you like to punch, you're going to line up the edge of your paper with that line. I'm using this side, which admittedly is harder for you to see. So let me use the other side. All right. Sorry about that. My camera was jumping. But so we're going to line up that orange paper with this side with the line that's on the wing right here. We're going to punch and slide. Line up the blue again. Make sure the back is on the shoulder back here. All right, and then punch. Then we're going to take the end. We're going to push the end in and line up that corner piece with the line on the wing right here. I'm going to hold it with my finger while I punch. All right, and you'll end up with a 1 by 1 square that's extra. Then we've got another piece and you can use the line on the other side, or you can flip this over. I'm going to flip it over since it's so much easier for you to see the line on this side of the punch, and punch that. All right, now we're going to cut all of this in half. Let me show you. So we're just going to take our trimmer, and you'll see that you have this rectangle of orange is 4 inches. So you're going to line that up on the 2-inch mark. Right here you can see how the rectangle is lined up on the 2-inch mark, and we're going to just trim that right in half. All right, so we have 2 pieces now of those, and you are done with your trimmer. So you can set your trimmer aside. Grab your 2 squares of vellum. Now we're going to make a frame, and we're going to go all the way around the outside of the vellum. These are going to be our squares at the bottom. These squares right here on our pattern, or these squares on the sample. All right, so we're going to take these, we're going to line them up with the frame line on the side, and we're going to punch all the way around. So you're going to punch once and slide. Then we're going to turn and line up the little square on the frame line over here. Punch and slide. Line it up again and punch it one more time. So you're punching 2 times on each side of the paper. There's one, and we're sliding it over, matching the pattern, punching again and turning, lining up the square on the frame line, punching, sliding, making sure again that it's all the way to the back on the bumper. All right, there's our one extra thing. So now we have a frame for that square. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing on this side for this one, and this time I'm going to go the other direction. So let me go ahead and I'll use the line on this side and show you. This is the way that's more natural for me because this is the way I typically punch, going this direction. This with the cobweb effect is so fun to use for Halloween, but it's also a great this would be a great layout for, you know, if you were cleaning something out, or, you know, typically cobwebs are a thing in the fall because we've all been so busy during the summer that we haven't cleaned anything out, right? So there's my second one. All right, so now we have all of our pieces except for our circles. We need to cut our circles right here. I'm going to just move my punch, get it out of the way, and grab my circle. We need the smallest custom cutting circle, and we need the red blade, and we're going to cut 2 circles from this the rest of this orange shimmer paper. All right, so if you're not familiar with our custom cutting system, I'm going to put these 2 little posts inside a guiding channel that goes around the outside of this pattern, and I have a blade that rotates that's going to cut my circle for me. Okay, so there's my one perfect circle. Now we're going to do another one. If you don't have the custom cutting system, then I do highly recommend it. It is very effective and very easy to use. Even if your hands start to get sore, or if you have trouble manipulating things, this cutting system is fantastic. And even when my joints are sore, because I do have arthritis in my hands, I find that I can manipulate the custom cutting system with no problem and get my perfect shapes. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that. Okay, before we grab our base pages, I'm just going to have you do a couple of assembly parts first, okay? So grab your two squares that we punched the frame around, and grab your two orange pieces, and then you're going to grab your permanent adhesive. We're just going to put a little bit of permanent adhesive on the square portion. Don't worry about any adhesive on the spider web part of the orange square, but we're going to just adhere this right on top of the vellum, right here in the corner. And if yours is off slightly, let me just tell you, you may have watched recently, I did a video on called Out of This World. It was a project recipe for Out of This World. If your punch is slightly off, please don't stress about it. Don't worry, okay? Because instead of placing your punched piece directly on top of it, all you have to do is offset it, and it really actually creates a really nice effect. And then no one will ever know that you're off just slightly. So just do that if you have punched it and it's not exactly spot on, or you're not happy with how close it is, and you'll be just fine. All right. Okay, so there's that. Then you're going to grab your pile of mats over here, because the two square pieces we are going to use with these pieces. Okay, so my choice now is to decide, do I want to put the purple on there, or do I want to put the orange? It's kind of a different color orange, so it would definitely stand out from the spider webs that I punched here. I'm going to set this on my base and see which one I like best. Here, we'll do one way and one the other way, and then let's see. I kind of think I like the orange, because this kind of gets lost. But then again, I don't know, it might be kind of nice. This does stand out much more on this one. Maybe we'll do this. We'll do purple. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put adhesive in all the corners, and then I'm just placing this square right on top of the square that you made with your frame. So no centering involved or anything, just make sure that you can see all of your spider webs, and that is the right place to go ahead and adhere that square. All right, so let me go ahead and do this one. All right, so now once we have these assembled, these frames assembled, we are going to go ahead and assemble our page. We're going to start from the top and work our way to the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside just up here in the front. And quickly I'm going to just take, we have just a little bit more assembly. I'm sorry, I forgot. Just a little bit more assembly with our spider webs. Now these are going to hang down from the top of our page like this, and we can either put this orange piece here and the purple piece here on the side, or we can flip it and we can do purple in the middle of the two pages and orange on the outside. And I think since orange is kind of more of an accent on this page, I think I'm going to go with orange on the outside and purple in the middle, because this is going to be a little bit covered up. You'll see when we add our embellishments. So I'm going to go ahead and add this on. And just make sure that when you adhere the orange piece that it's right side up, because you do have that directional pattern if you used the same paper that I did. Okay, so we've got that. Okay. So right on the edge, you're putting this right on the edge so that this upper edge can go right on the edge of our base page. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing for this one, but I'm going to do it backwards because I want my purple in the center and my orange on the outside. Okay. There we go. Now, to go ahead and put this on our page, we're going to use our permanent adhesive. Now, if you were to look at this, I'm sure you can see, I can see in my monitor, you can see where all of the adhesive is that I placed on this paper. But we're not going to see this side, and we're not going to put any adhesive on the delicate vellum spider webs. So we don't need to worry about having vellum adhesive to do this, which is cool. I do have vellum adhesive, but I'm not going to worry about it just now because we're not going to actually adhere down the spider webs, as I said. So I'm going to grab one of my base pages and I'm going to adhere this edge to edge and corner to corner. Mind you, this is upside down. All right, so this is the top facing towards me. And I'm going to turn this around. Let's get some adhesive on this one. I have just found that this is the easiest way to make sure that this is right on the top edge of my paper. All right, perfect. Okay, now we're going to turn this around. So this is the way our layout is going to look. And I'm just going to go ahead and, my all-purpose tool has gotten buried again. There we go. Okay, need it to go underneath there. Okay, there we go. So this one right here is going to go in this corner. This one is going to go in this corner over here. Your orange circles we made are designed to actually frame the photo that it's going to go in here. So you can, if you have a circular photo, you can use these and then put your circular photo inside there. The size photo you would want is going to be 3 3/8 across. So it's going to be a circle that's 3 3/8 in diameter. And then the orange will frame it perfectly. If you do not want to make a circle photograph to go in here. You don't have to. You could certainly use the square and put a picture right in there. And I would just go ahead and use a 3 3/4 or a 4-inch photo. Let me just make sure I'm not leading you astray. Yeah, 4-inch photo would cover the entire mat. So I would do 3 3/4 or 3.5 by 3.5 if you are going to just use a square picture. If you're not sure, like me, then grab your repositionable adhesive, stick a little bit on the back, stick that circle on there so that you don't lose it while you're trying to decide. And any picture that you're going to put on that square potentially is going to cover that adhesive. So if it takes a little bit of the color off of your paper, it won't be a big deal. All right, so again, I'm just using my permanent adhesive to adhere this because I'm adhering the vellum, but I'm adhering it in an area where I am not going to see the adhesive on this side when I flip it over. And then this piece goes roughly 1/8 of an inch from the edge of your paper. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and get that stuck down. And this one we're going to get stuck down. Make sure the orange punched pieces are in the corner of your paper. And that will be in the right spot. All right, then I'm going to grab the rest of my mats here and we're going to just lay this out carefully. Let me make sure I'm still in frame. All right, there we go. So then these your two largest mats are going to go right here in the center and almost point to point with your mat in the lower corner. This mat right here is going to go up here in the corner. You can either use the darker orange to match this strip up here, or you can flip it and make it purple. It's completely up to you what you prefer to do. These two down here are going to either be dark orange or they're going to be purple. This layout uses a lot of purple, so I'm just going to kind of play with it for now and see if this is the way I want to leave it. Okay, so for now I'm just going to leave it kind of like that. Now this strip, this 1/2 inch of vellum that I had you cut, this is going to be used for journaling, and we do need to cut this again at 4 inches so that you have 3 4-inch strips. So I failed to have you do that at the beginning, and I'm sorry about that. For those of you who like to cut everything at the beginning and be done and put your trimmer away, you will need it just very briefly. And you will need vellum adhesive to be able to do this so that these don't show up. Remember how I showed you when I flipped that over, how you could see the adhesive through the paper? The vellum adhesive, which is the blue cartridge that Creative Memories sells, the blue refill cartridge, is specifically for vellum. And let me show you why. I'm just going to add just a little bit to each end of these strips. Okay, just like that. And then this is going to kind of go up here a little bit haphazardly, kind of at an odd angle. As soon as you rub this down, the vellum, or the adhesive, sorry, under the vellum pretty well disappears. It's not completely perfect, but it's pretty close. And I think you'll find it's better than any other adhesive that you might try to use with vellum. I've tried several and not been happy with the results. This one fairly disappears completely. So you're just going to put those strips on there kind of a little bit at an odd angle and just keep rubbing them down rubbing that adhesive down if you're using the vellum adhesive, and you'll see how it just blends super well. All right, I'm going to, as you're used to by now, just put my mats on here approximately where they're going to go, so that I can come back later when I have photographs after Halloween has happened and go ahead and decide, ooh, I used my vellum adhesive on that. Well, that wasn't smart, Kim. Let's see, maybe I can, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cover that with a piece of scrap so it's not sticky. And then I'm going to come back in here with my repositionable adhesive. Okay, so I've got my 2 pages together so that I can make sure my mats and my photos are in the same place on both sides. And I'm making my margin in the center the same. So this is approximately the same as this. Not vastly different. It's not exact, but it is not vastly different. And my my margin for the border between the top one and the bottom one is the same, and then my my edges are in the same place. So you'll notice these line up, these edges right here line up so that they are the same. All right, and then with this one I'm making my the top edge line up. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to add a couple things to this. Let me go ahead and just point out, they use a sticker that goes across the center of both pages. It's just one of our 12-inch border stickers, and it's perfectly fine if you'd like to do that. That would be great. They also use white cardstock. That's what they've used to make the punched spider webs that are on the sample. So if you don't have vellum, just use punched cardstock for that. But I have access to some of the laser borders that came with this collection. And so I want to, since we are doing spider webs, I'm going to use this great big spider web across the top of this layout. I just think it's really cool, and I want to be able to use it. And I just realized it's black on the back. I wonder if we ought to use black, because I don't have a lot of white on this page. But you know what? Nope, I'm going to use the white side because my spider is black. So let me just show you. I'm using my repositionable adhesive, and I'm just kind of getting the points of the spider web just to make sure it doesn't catch on things. Okay, so I've got my 2 pages together so that I can just take my laser border and put it right down on the edge. I'm putting this center point right in the middle, and my border right on the edge. Then I'm going to use my trimmer to cut it apart. All right, there we go. Use my trimmer. Just going to guide this through. Be careful when you do this, because sometimes sometimes you didn't get adhesive. I have tried it before, and on occasion I don't get adhesive on all the little parts of the piece that I'm cutting apart. So I just want to make sure I don't lose any of those pieces. I want it to maintain its continuity. So I'm just going to check it just to be sure that those pieces are still connected to something. so I don't lose any of them. So that one looks good. This one also looks good. All right. So that is done. I've created ahead of time, you guys would be proud of me, I created this cute little kind of cluster. This is using a giant spider that comes in the sticker kit, and then the moon and the black cat also are all, the moon and the black cat are actually one sticker. So they are all the same. And I just wanted to point out, I used my foam squares on the back, but I actually cut the smaller foam squares in half to use on the spider's legs so that they stick up, they don't get stuck down to the page. Because they're so thin that the two sized foam squares that we have are way too big. So if you are trying to stick something down that's narrow like these legs are, don't be afraid to cut your foam square. It's totally fine to do that. And you can see my foam squares, and if you don't get them placed exactly right, you can see kind of the edge. But I think it's going to be okay because it's not going to detract from the design. So I'm just going to kind of put my spider off to the side a little bit and just stick it to my page there. All right. Another thing that I thought was really cool, and I didn't use on this, is this spider web, which is also really awesome and would be cool to add. I'm not going to add it to this one. I'm going to save it and use it on a different layout, but it is a very cool corner spider web. I am going to use this. It says Happy Haunting because I think it's very cool, and it kind of goes along with one of the embellishments I'm going to add in just a second here. So I'm going to go ahead and just add this guy on over here on this side. So we've got the spider over here. We've got Happy Haunting on this side. I just use my repositionable adhesive on that so I don't have to stress about the holes in the spider web, or in the words, sorry. Goodness. All right, now another thing I'm going to do just for this layout is I'm going to go ahead and adhere this circle down, and you'll see why in just a second. Okay. Another thing that comes in your laser embellishment pack, if should you decide to buy it, is this really awesome tree. And I discovered as I was making this this layout the other day that the tree actually looks really cool on top of this circle right here. So I'm going to put my tree right here on the circle. I'm just going to take up that space and use it instead of using using it for a photo. I'm just going to go ahead and use it for a really cool embellishment because this tree is really awesome. Okay, so you could use it on this side or you could use it on this side, but I'm going to use it, I think I'm going to put it over here. And I'm just kind of centering it on top of my circle so that the circle draws attention. It kind of acts like a little bit like a moon in the background, even though an orange moon, I suppose at harvest time you could have an orange moon. And then this is another cluster of stickers that I put together, and this is going to go right here in front of the tree. And this has foam squares all over it, of course. So bear with me a second while I get all the backs taken off of these foam squares. These little tiny ones like to stick to my fingers. All right, here we go. Okay, so we're going to just set that kind of over the trunk a little bit so that the pumpkin is kind of at the base of the tree, and so is the haunted house. Okay, so we've got that little scene right there. Then I need one more embellishment for kind of over here in the corner. And I think, now that I'm looking at this, I think I want to just use this swag that says "Eek." I think would be really cute. And I'll have to figure out what to put with it. So let's see. So not that. Got all the backs from the foam squares. Come on, get off. There we go. All right, let's stick those over there. Okay, so Eek. And maybe we'll have a bat, or we could have another cat. Maybe I should use another cat and save the bats for another layout. No, I actually think I'm going to use these guys. My daughter thought these were so cool, these skeleton hands. And I do too. I think that they're really awesome. So I'm just going to put the banner that says Eek kind of up and under that. And we'll do the same thing over here on this side. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and just add a little starry emblem to it. And I think we'll call that good. We'll stick that right there. So let me grab some foam squares to kind of aid in holding this together. Okay, or we'll use some smaller ones on these smaller pieces. No need to get everybody all excited. Okay, so I'm going to use one of my cut pieces that I had extra on that bone right there, and then I'm just going to cut a couple more because I don't have enough cut pieces. So we'll just cut right through. Just use your scissors, cut right through, and then grab the piece you want. Okay, I'm so sorry, but I had a little bit of a glitch in my recorder, but we fixed that, and I just wanted to make sure that you get this last part. So I went ahead and put the stickers down here in the corner, but I only uncovered the foam squares from about here down, and so there is a foam square underneath this hand that keeps it stuck up, you know, above the paper, and there's one underneath this bone right here. And the reason I left those, I left the covers on those foam squares is so that I can potentially put a picture underneath there and it won't be a problem. So the foam squares keep the dimensions the same without sticking down. All right, it looks like we're done, and I hope that you've enjoyed spending this time with me and putting this layout together. It's such a fun way to commemorate your Halloween photos and the funness of a spooky Halloween. And I hope that you will create this layout for your albums as well. In the meantime, I wish you many more creative moments. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great day.